Welcome to Memorial United Church of Christ, where no matter who you are or where you are, this morning you are welcome here. I'm Pastor Chris Gorton, and this morning is fourth Sunday of Easter. So just when you think Easter has gone by, no, we're still stepping into what does it mean to practice the resurrection today. And as I look around the sanctuary, someone just commented to me, and I was thinking the same thing, that, wow, when we think about resurrection and something new, and I look at the front of this church, like the cameras, the tech, the bikes, the environmentally friendly items that are here, wow, I think we have an ongoing resurrection. So welcome this day, and I invite you to think about what does that ongoing resurrection and our resilience to us mean in this space? And with that rising resilience, is there any announcements? Are there any announcements to make today? Cindy?
I have two invitations for you. The first is to take a look out on those tables. The green team has cleaned out its closet. And you all can get real deals. So there will be some members of the green team out there after service. I also ask you to join us for what we're calling Show and Tell to Save the Earth. We're going to host Show and Tell, just like when you were in kindergarten or first grade. And we invite you to show and tell about anything that you have found useful in being a little more environmentally conscious. You'll see we have some bicycles, and we also have some environmentally friendly deodorant, and in a not plastic container. And we'd like to hear about blogs that you read, podcasts that you listen to, anything that you have found informative and useful. So what we'll do after service is refill your cups of coffee and then come back in here. This will be where we'll have show and tell. And the Zoom folks are invited to stay on, and they can show and tell too, and we'll call on them if they raise their hand.
And speaking about raising their hands, I have two. Michael? Oh, I have three. I have four. Any more? Auctioneer. I know I'm a fast talker, so I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Michael, if you can come up to the front, please. Thank you.
Good morning. So there's a whole bunch of Earth Day celebrating going on, but I want to tell you about another celebration that's happening next week, specifically May the 2nd. And on that day, several years ago, and I'll be delicate and not tell you exactly what several means, but several years ago, a child was born, a little baby girl, and she grew up to be an inspirational speaker and an interpreter of the Bible. And so we're going to start the celebration early by singing Happy Birthday to our favorite pastor, Chris. And this is a special birthday, so I want all the folks
It's a big
at home,
zero, you guys.
all the folks at home to put away your tea and biscuits. I want everybody here to rise up. And Jeff, can you lead us in for a happy birthday? Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chris. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you for that. It's almost like April Fool's Day for me, so thank you for that. But anyway, just a month late. Oh, dear.
Jay Johnson asked me to give I'm the PS, by the way, if you don't know me, Steve.
Which is?
PS is pastor's spouse. So good morning. I'm not going to tell you how many years Chris will be celebrating on Tuesday. But I will say we've been married 40 years this summer, and we live in the Midwest, not the south. So you can probably do the math and figure it out. Nonetheless, for after service, we have half of a sheet cake.
Oh my gosh.
So there's cake back there, or will be cake back there. So please stop and enjoy. I did not put candles on it. It's just too dangerous.
The Fitchburg Fire Department would not
yes.
like that.
Now on another topic, Jay Johnson of the Johnson Brothers asked me to give an announcement. May 13th, we will have Building and Grounds Cleanup Day. So it's in your bulletin, or it's in the e-news anyways. So he couldn't be here today, so he asked me to mention that. So you're welcome to join us on May 13th. Bring work gloves, grubby clothes, and have fun digging in the dirt.
Thank you, Steve. Other hand, lots of, Jill, come on up.
I don't know how to follow that. But this Wednesday, May 3rd, so the day after Pastor Chris's birthday, at 5:30 here at Memorial, Kathy Kuntz, the director of the Dane County Office of Energy and Climate Change, will be here for a presentation and Q&A to describe how the numerous tax credits and incentives available now through the Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA, can be used for home energy upgrades, solar installation, new and used electrical vehicles, and much more. And the session is sponsored by the Memorial Green Team and is open to anyone interested in learning more about the IRA. We have invited several churches as well as the community of Fitchburg. And you can attend either in person or save that fossil fuel and watch online via Zoom. Via Zoom. So thank you.
All right, and I saw another hand, Susan. Oh, another hands.
You're not going to have time for your sermon.
It's a plot not to do the sermon, right? Come on, thanks.
I just want to remind people that we're reading the book Speak with the Earth by Reverend Daniel Cooper-Ryder, and we will have our first discussion on the first section of the book on rivers next Sunday, hopefully at Lake Farm Park, if it's at the shelter number 2. If the weather is like it is today, we will have it here. But bring a lawn chair if it's nice weather, and we will go there and have a little snacks, a little something to eat, and then discuss the first part of Daniel's book. So
Where is the park?
it's on Lake Wabisa, and it's about 5 miles from here. So it's on this side of Lake Wabisa.
We're just south of Southtown and the Walmart over there.
Just south of Southtown. There will be a link to a map of the park, and it'll show you the roads to get there in the e-news. So hope to see you.
And Kelly?
And Kelly is
Follows in.
coming up because she's doing something else next Sunday.
Just a follow-up, if you'd rather not take the roads to get to that book talk, take a bike. We are inviting anybody who wants to join us, and we will ride the Capital City Trail out to Lake Farm Park to join in that conversation.
That's about 5 miles?
Five-ish.
5-ish. And with that, before we head out, I will finish up with next week. Pastor Peter Morris of Arbor Covenant Church and I have been working together on the service for next week. And let's just say, come. We have some ideas, and one of them after the service. So those of you at home, worship will be a little shorter. We're hoping about 45-ish minutes. So we can take everybody outside, and whether you are a bike rider or you just want to pray for those who are on the roads this summer, we are going to do a blessing of the bike. So if you want to bring your bike to church next week, whether you ride it in or put it on the back of your truck or van or whatever, or a helmet or gloves, bring them in and I will bless them next Sunday. Then we'll do the bike ride, and then we'll do the book study. So it's a whole series of events. You can do one or all of those. So, what?
Or none.
Or none,
Well,
yeah.
for service, but
Yeah. Well, come and gather, and if you don't do any, you just pray. So, anyway, Mark, come on up.
So if next Sunday is going to be a shorter service, today is going to be a longer service the way it's going. So anyway, a quick announcement. So we're now working as two congregations at two sites. And we've got a work day here, as you just heard, on Saturday, May 13th. On next Saturday, that is May 6th, we have our work day over at McDivitt Road, the Arbor site, the Arbor Good Neighbor House site. And we'll be working on the community garden. I believe it is all rototilled right now, but we have some more brush clearing to do around it to make more sunshine available, some cleaning tasks on the building, and various other things that we will be identifying. So if you are interested in doing either outdoor work or indoor work, we'll be working from any time from 8 until noon. And there will be coffee and some healthy snacks and probably a couple unhealthy snacks like that. Thank you.
And I can tell you last Sunday, the confirmation group met at Arbor so they could get a tour, and Jan gave us a wonderful tour of the building and the grounds. And after she left, she had set up hospitality for us. The youth had to check the freezer at Arbor to see where you got the muffins. They were like, where do they get these muffins? So they show up for the hospitality, you guys, and help with the brush. Any other announcements today? All right, I have one that tomorrow is both Luke House, but if you're not stopping over at Luke House to help serve a meal, I have community office hours just up the street at Panera off of Cahill from 5 until 7 p.m. So if you want to show up for dinner or just to talk, you're welcome to do that for any part of my office hours, so pop on in. As we think about what resurrection means to us, our introit today is a video from David Cooperwriter, and what? Daniel Cooperwriter. Oh, I've been working so hard on that. Anyway, and this is an introduction into the book, and it's an introduction into our worship service, holding God, our Creator, with love and glory in our midst.
Air that connects us in the breathing together of all things. Fire that feeds the sun that feeds everything else. Water that runs as river, stills as lake, waves as ocean. Earth that shapes as landscape, greens, feels, knows, loves. For as long as we've been expressions of earth reflecting back on the ways of nature, our thinking has constellated itself into a sacred conversation about the four elements: air, fire, water, earth. Will you meditate with me now on the earth element? Earth, it's the word we evoke to name our planet, our home base. Planet Earth, curiously named, I think. For every other planet, we assign the name of a god or goddess from Greco-Roman mythology. But Earth is from a Proto-Indo-European word group erda, meaning ground, soil, dirt, land. So rather than evoking the abstractness of a mythological figure, Earth is named for what it most immediately, most materially, most humbly is. The stuff that we stand on, the stuff that is us. In the Genesis creation story, God forms Adam from the Adamah, the earthling from the earth. Jesus, who's given the title Eskatos Adam, second or ultimate earthling by the Apostle Paul, had a powerful affinity with all the elements, calming wind, walking on water, baptizing with fire. But it is the earth element that features most prominently in his teachings and parables. The earth produces of itself, Jesus said, marveling at a seed sprouting. First the stalk, then the head, then the grain. The kingdom of God, he said, is like this. It's like the happenings of the earth, in that it just pops up. A glorious, disruptive event of newness and beauty, like a sudden field of wildflowers, like a fruit tree going from budburst to blossom. Today, as we face new challenges of ecological and climate peril, may we take this chance to praise the earth element, humble and glorious, origin and destiny, this clay-sculpted kingdom of God, where incarnation and resurrection energy runs wild and free. This planet A, named after nothing other than the very essence of itself. This place where all matter is holy matter, where matter matters. This place, this earth, which is the right place for love.
Holy One, you have many names, and today we call forth the names we need. Imaginative Spirit. Unfolding possibility.
Emerging life.
Playful wisdom.
Liberative troublemaker.
Wild and compassionate God.
Surprise us with signs and wonders in a growing world.
Swell with us as we make waves towards collective freedom.
God of becoming, we are grateful for young
people, for the fierce solidarity they offer each other and the world. Open our spirits to the swelling wisdom of the new wave of teachers, leaders, and visionaries. Unstick places within us that we want to cling to ways that are uncomfortable, but that no longer serve us. For you are a God who unfolds, and you love those who shake off the dust of familiar anxieties. Amen.
Our first reading this morning is from Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and fellowship, to the breaking of bread and prayer and the prayers. Awe came upon everyone because many wonders and signs were being done by the apostles. All who believed were together, and all had all things in common. They would sell their possessions and goods and distribute the proceeds to all, as any had need. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they broke bread at home and ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having the goodwill of all people. And day by day, the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. Here ends the first reading.
Thank you, Jeff. Our second reading today is from John chapter 10, verses 1 through 10. Very truly, I tell you, anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in by another way, is a thief and a bandit. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. They will not follow a stranger, but they will run from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. Jesus used this figure of speech with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So again Jesus said to them, "Very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly." Thus ends our reading. May we be blessed with understanding.
All right. If all of the youth and young at heart would like to come on up, we're not going to sit right here because we want to be able to see the TV. And so definitely, if you want to see the TV, you should come to the front. So let's sit over here so we can see the TV. Wesley, I have to point this out because I think it was really good, and hopefully this will bring some understanding, because we always say, may be blessed with understanding, and Wesley said, of course I never am. So hopefully this video, we can get to some understanding. So if all works well, we're going to play a YouTube video here that I first saw at a vet conference. I know it's going to be a shock that we watch animal videos at vet conferences. All right, so in the Bible, especially the New Testament, we're often compared, sit up please, okay. We're often compared to sheep. And that Jesus is our shepherd, helping guide us. And in that video, did anybody see the dogs? Yeah. And so this video, as I got thinking about it, you saw a person too, yeah. The dogs, to me, are like the teachings of Jesus. If we follow the teachings of Jesus, we'll all be able to get in through a tiny little gate into whether you believe in a heaven coming next, that could be it, or just a peaceful world that's pleasant to live in, if we all follow the teachings of Jesus. So, what are some of the teachings of Jesus that could guide us? There's a lot. There's a really famous one, and
The one with the sheep and the pennies and that stuff, where they lose one sheep and then
that we look out for everybody. We always go back for all of them, sure. So that could be one of our guiding principles, that we don't leave. We have a dog that represents that we don't leave anybody behind. There's a rule that's in Christianity, and it's in a lot of other religious traditions too. The golden rule, which is treat others how you would like to be treated. We have another dog that helps remind us of that and herds us in. Any other ones? Yeah. I'm thinking of like ideas, but I brought Heart Puppy. What does Heart Puppy represent? Love. This one even tells you. Guiding us when we love each other and when we love ourselves. That really helps. Any other ones? Yeah.
If someone asks you to walk a mile with them, walk two.
To support other people, yes. We've got another dog to support other people. And do more than you're asked to do. Yes. So we have lots of principles and we could have way more animals. There are lots of principles that help guide us as we be the sheep. And I don't know if you noticed, some of those sheep sometimes did not go the right direction. They were headed like towards the gate, and then they were like, woo! And some were stuck. And then the principles of God and Jesus and so many of our world's religions will guide us back into the group, will help us all get back together. Just like those dogs said, nope, we're going to go around this way, and then we're going to go through the gate. So even when we stray a little bit, we get brought back in as long as we use these principles to guide us. So thank you for joining me. We'll say a prayer. The older kids have Sunday school today. The younger kids are staying in church today. So God, thank you so much for always being there with us and for sending teachings to us through Jesus that help remind us how we can all live together and how we can all make this world a better place. Amen.
As we come together and reflect on what are those guiding principles God is laying out for us, let us pray. Holy Creator, Mother, Father of us all, we open up our hearts, our minds, and our souls to listen to your teachings this day. Give us generous hearts of love, compassion, goodness, and justice. Amen. Okay, so you know how when you stub your toe, the pain instantly catches your attention? Ouch! Suddenly, no matter what else is going on, suddenly slips from your mind, and all you can think about is that toe. So this week, I stubbed my toe. Not my actual big toe, but I stubbed my theological toe. The Bible story of the early Jesus movement from Acts today is delightful. As Jesus, and also in John, Jesus waxes and wanes poetic about the sheep, familiar voices, and calm pastures. These are both stories of life the way it should be. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will not stub my toe. Ouch. Of course, that's not really how Psalm 23 goes, but something about Jesus' comment in John, I am the gate, snared my attention and would not let me go. I am the gate. This is unsettling to me because gates are passive. They're just there. Someone or something else of force must act upon the gate, push or pull to gain access to the other side. So I dug in a little deeper and I researched the original Greek from John 10, verse 7. What I found was even more disconcerting. A better translation of thera is door. Oh no. You're not going to tell me that the gate is not only passive, but it's opaque, like a solid door? Jesus says, I am the door. Our contemporary experiences with fences gives gate a logical alternative translation for us today, but door, gate, I am. The phrase continued to niggle in my mind. Thank God for scriptures and scones. You know who you are. Our weekly Bible studies held in the library at 8 a.m. If you're interested in joining us, no experience necessary, or on Zoom at 6:30 p.m., helped me discover the good news in the gate. I told that theological toe stubbing story, the one I just shared with you, with the study groups this week. After a bit of discussion, one participant asked, could you imagine the gate as an entrance? Could I? Can we hear the parable not as an imposing gate with a lock and a deadbolt, but flip our theology toward Jesus as the opening, the entryway towards beloved community? Here's Psalm 23 from the Message. God, my shepherd, I don't need a thing. You have bedded me down in lush meadows. You find my quiet pools to drink from. True to your word, you let me catch my breath and send me in the right direction. Remember the meditative movement of the sheep in the video shared during the Message for All? The calm, green pastures in the midst of all that movement. No matter which way the sheep went, it seemed to be the right way. The last two verses of Psalm 23 in the Message are, God, you revive my drooping head. My cup brims with blessing. Your beauty and love chase after me every day of my life. I'm back home in the house of God for the rest of my life. I want to stick with that video. But unfortunately, too many people, systems, and institutions hold themselves up as the gate and the gatekeeper. They install laws which repress, silence, and destroy. To live life abundantly, it's vital that we keep our eyes on the weekly headlines. Watch for the thieves and the bandits. Nearly 30 years ago, in her 1995 Charter Day address at Howard University, Toni Morrison brought out the specter of Hitler and his final solution. She noted that one of the 10 steps toward fascism is to pathologize the enemy in scholarly and popular mediums. Recycle, for example, scientific racism and the myths of racial superiority in order to neutralize the pathology. You see, gatekeeping thieves can come in the form of book bans. Last year, across the United States, the American Library Association documented 1,269 demands to censor library books, the highest number of attempted bans since they began collecting data. Of those titles, the vast majority were written by or about members of the LGBTQIA+ community, or about Black people, Indigenous people, and people of color. Others climbed into the sheepfold through another way. Morrison notes the evil embedded in constructing an internal enemy, both as focus and diversion. The other way can include words such as decorum. Do you remember what happened at the State House in Tennessee recently? 3 legislatures were charged with breaking decorum when they spoke out about the gun violence at a Nashville school. 2 of the 3 were expelled. Now, we could even talk longer about the fact that the 2 who were expelled were Black. This week, the Montana State House silenced Zoe Zephyr for breaking decorum after she spoke out against a bill which would restrict gender-affirming care for transgender youth. The message is clear. Unless you conform, you are not part of the group. We are the gatekeepers. We will remove you. And yes, another tactic of the bandits is to maintain at all cost silence. Morrison cautions, let us be reminded that before there is a final solution, there must be a first step, a second one, even a third. The move toward a final solution is not a jump. It takes one step, then another, and another. These gatekeepers and these gates and their gatekeepers hurt and kill so much more, so many more than the pain of stubbing one's big toe. But we can also find a deeper understanding of Jesus when he reveals, I am the door. God, embodied, is the entranceway. This is Jesus. In contrast to the hate and retribution, the muting of opinions, and the harm many institutions are meticulously trying to maintain, we can begin to see God's gate, God's embodiment, through a range of faith traditions. For us, in the Christian tradition, as Jesus followers, and other faith leaders and lay leaders across the globe in faith traditions, we believe that this piece, this embodiment, is constructed with love, grace, compassion, and justice. For us as Christians, our resurrection is Jesus standing in the divine opening in the fence of human failures. Jesus, the door for us, holds open the thin space between the familiar and the stranger, hope and destruction, calm and disorder, the state of being whole or broken. Which is why, for those of you that either downloaded your bulletin today or look at your bulletin today, but this is why the cartoon by David Hayward is included in your bulletin. Take a look. There is a black sheep, the rainbow LGBTQ plus sheep, the transgender sheep, all trying to piece together love's puzzle. Jesus is hanging out with them as they do this, munching on popcorn and breaking pizza. I can hear the psalmist rewriting her text now. God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God invites me to sit down on soft carpets and leads me to beloved community. God helps me put life's puzzle together, piece by piece. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for the entryway to God is created with love, grace, compassion, and justice. And if we're lucky, a little popcorn and pizza too. In the scripture from John, we are told or encouraged to listen to the voices to follow. In this space, as we listen to each other, we follow our petitions for concerns and joy with prayer today and throughout the week. So I will ask if there is someone willing to be an usher today or a virtual usher today. And if we can have the wandering remote turned on, please. We can collect prayers. Thank you, Michael, for following the Spirit. Our friends at home can then hear our prayers as you speak them in our midst. I want to start us off by noting prayers for the people in Ukraine and Sudan and other places around the world who are impacted by war. I also want to lift up blessings for Jackie Caravello and Laura Menger. They are both members of Memorial who happen to be on church council, which is not a prerequisite for this. But next Saturday is the Wisconsin Conference United Church of Christ Association meeting at our sibling church, the Janesville UCC. So we and Molly Sawyer, the four of us, are going to be traveling down for the association meeting. It's not called Nurturing Your Creative Soul, but that's basically what the topics are about. And Jackie and Laura will be representing us as our delegates at the association. So if you could hold them in their prayers for their leadership this day. It's the first time all of them are going to be participating, so I'm excited for that energy in our midst. I want to share a prayer for Kelsey Schoenhar, who is healing this week from a scheduled surgery. Last I heard, everything had gone well. And I also want to share a prayer for those in our congregation, those of you who are caring for a spouse with Alzheimer's or dementia. That is hard work. And along the way, let us know how we can also care for you and your loved one and your spiritual health. Are there other prayers to be shared in the congregation today? Oh, we have one right back here, Michael. That was quick, Stella.
For Daisy, a bird that my sister found on the side of the road in Verona. So she brought it home and we brought it to the Wildlife Center, and we're just hoping for good news.
All right, well, so prayers for Daisy. Thank you for rescuing the bird and giving Daisy a safe place to grow. Delightful. Other prayers today? Jill? Oh, sure.
Prayers of joy that my good friend Fred has been deemed all clear of cancer from his stage 2 throat cancer. It is such a blessing.
A blessing indeed. Thanks for healing for Fred. I have a text prayer, and the phone doesn't recognize my face. I have a prayer from Chaplain Karen Wells. She offers thanksgiving for the Muck, Memorial UCC, and Arbor community, and all of the good work that is going on here in this place. Anything else this day? I felt a twitch. Let me look. Oh, you can't see this, but I got sent a text of the birthday cake that's over in Fellowship Hall. So thank you for the birthday wishes. And I also have a prayer update texted in. A prayer update from last week, joy for Reagan and her new son, Jasper. Last week, Ada had said that she was asking for a safe delivery. And so Jasper is the new nephew, born healthy this week, 7 pounds and change. Give or take. Thank you for the follow-up prayer. Made us all smile. Thank you for your ushering today of the prayers. Let us continue our prayers with this one from the Reverend Steve Garnis Holmes on the shepherd. Good shepherd, Jesus says he's a gate, but we make him a wall, an obstacle, a closure, a restriction that limits access to God to the right people. Baloney. Jesus is here to let people in, not to keep them out. He's not a wall, but a door. Not a fence, but a gateway, an opening. Jesus is for those who are searching for God, sheep searching for good pasture, who keep coming up against walls. Fear is a wall. Doubt and distrust is a wall. People's judgment and expectations are a wall. Religion can be a wall. But Jesus is an opening. Through all the walls of right religion and being good enough, Jesus holds an opening, a gateway. He says, I am your opening. Come in and go out and find good pasture. Let me love you. That is the gateway to everything. We pray these words to open up the gateway in our own hearts with the prayer that Jesus taught us.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Indeed. On the fourth and fifth Sunday of each month, we do an offering. We no longer pass the offering plate as we did in the before times. Many people pledge online or give monthly donations. If you would like to donate to the work of the church today, there is an offering plate just outside the sanctuary doors. But what we do celebrate is the extravagant generosity in our midst, and this can mean a lot of different things. So I invite you, if you would like to share this extravagant generosity which is popping up in your life, to let me know, and I will weave you into the service. Today, the Rolchin family is going to guide us on how they see extravagant giving in our church today.
Hi, I'm Tiffany, and representing part of the Rolchin family today.
Hi, I'm Stella.
All right, we may have slides, I'm not sure, but if not, we'll keep going here. But what we're here to talk about today is when you pick up your envelopes out in the sanctuary of the church, or the entry of the church, there are some envelopes in there that say giving locally, going the extra mile. And if you pick those up and you see those 4 envelopes, we just wanted to talk a little bit about what those are doing in the community and here at church. So with those envelopes, we have a chance as the outreach committee to give to some of community organizations and people that are doing really good work. And sometimes those things kind of come up on a pop-up basis. They contact us and say, this is something we have going on, we have this need. So when we pool those monies together that you give to those local funds, it allows us to respond a little bit more in real time to some of those requests. I just wanted to show you what some of those organizations are that we've supported and kind of put a face to those. So Stella's going to help out with some props. And the first one, if we can flip the slide, is the Good Neighbors Personal Essentials Pantry. And I think if you can put toilet paper in your logo, you must really believe in your mission and the good work that you're doing. So that is. And the next slide, the Wisconsin Faith Voices for Justice. And we'll hold up that sign, Stella. So an organization working toward a more just and equitable world for the third group that we've been able to connect with is Little John's. So if you want to toss on that hat today, Stella. And Little John's work. That's a cause that we've been able to support as well. And then the last one is the Odyssey Project. All right. And so giving people. Be supporting, but if you could find those envelopes and consider a donation and help us pool those funds and make them really go farther this year, that would be great. And Stella, do you want to end the presentation? Awesome. Thank you.
Will you please join me in the prayer of dedication this day? Waymaking one, may all people have access to the resources for the well-being of their mind, body, spirit. Through our collective efforts, may barriers to access crumble. Bless our offerings that they may flow freely to places. Amen. So the church fairies have been at work today, and as you leave the sanctuary, there is cake cut and ready for you. Grab coffee, grab juice, stay for conversation, stay for the postlude, and then stay for in here in the sanctuary. Bring your food and coffee in and join us for conversation. As you leave, may the holy shine warm on you like the sun and guide you like the wise face of the moon. May you witness beauty in the ordinary, and may wonder expand your capacity for love. Go with God, holy mystery, and good troublemaker.
That's cool, because then we know all the things. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to Show and Tell. I suppose I should go over the rules of Show and Tell. And the rules are, Pastor Chris should eat her birthday cake. Yes, she should. The rules of Show and Tell with young people, I think. The young people who are here should correct me if I have this wrong. You listen politely. You don't talk while someone is showing or telling. Oh, we're having... I should go over the rules of Show and Tell. Here, twice.
So I had set up one.
You're fine, honey.
Yes, she should.
So Show and Tell with young people. I think the young people who are here should correct. All righty, so, and then you listen politely, and you don't say things like, well, that's a dumb toy you brought to show. Anyway, what we would like to have you do is speak up here so anyone who's online can see what we're doing and hear what we're doing. We also are putting this onto YouTube, which means the recording will stay there. So if any folks who can't stay for this little session want to, they can watch later at their leisure. So I will get us started. I brought 2 items for Show and Tell. When the green team first gave out their bags of green products, we put quite a few items in there, and some of them have stuck at the Rosh household, some of them have not. But one of them that has is laundry sheets. And in this little box, which comes in the mail and is much cheaper to ship than a big heavy jug, is a sheet that looks like this. And this half of it does 1 load of laundry. It does a good job, and we really like it. And it's from an organization, a company called Clean People. And we have someone writing down sources of things, too, for you. So we'll try to put that into a document and get that to all of you. My second thing, you might consider this a little more personal. I shouldn't be sharing, but this is my deodorant that is really good deodorant, and it's in a completely cardboard applicator. So it's kind of like ice cream push-ups. You know, you push up to get more deodorant. And the source of this is very exotic, Target. So those are my 2 items. And I would like to see if anyone would like to raise their hand and show something else or tell something else. Yes, ma'am, come right up.
Mine is similar to yours. This is shampoo. It comes, and it's from Aveda, so I think you can just get it in the store, or I'm sure online. So it's just a bar of shampoo. So again, you're not having a plastic bottle. And then I also have laundry detergent, but you have to make it. So it's, this actually, each is from Woodman's. This is washing soda, and this is borax. And then you also take a bar of, I use Ivory soap, and grate it on Zest. And you take a cup of each of these with a bar of soap. And this is what the detergent looks like. And it says just 2 tablespoons per load, but I usually add a little more. But anyway, it's a way of having a paper product. It's a little more bulky than your sheets, but it's another way to avoid the big plastic laundry detergent containers.
Thank you.
Don't forget your shampoo.
All right. Oh, Caitlin and family have things to show.
Wesley is demonstrating our lawnmower. So we've had some different experiences with, we've got a battery-powered lawnmower, we've got a battery-powered snow blower. Those are both the, we'll get to it. Those are both the Ego brand. And then We have a Husqvarna auto mower, which is like a Roomba except for your yard. It kind of saved Pete and I's marriage, especially when the kids were little. So that's what I recommend that one for, more than the green part of it. But it plugs in and charges, and we set it when we want to vacuum, when we want it to vacuum, when we want it to mow, and it just goes and does its own thing, which is pretty awesome. Pete looked up this one this morning. It was like $500 this morning, Pete. $550. So it's definitely more expensive than a regular push mower, but not like thousands, which is nice. The biggest thing that we have learned with this one, we mow part of a marsh, and that gets tall, and then we use it really hard, and sometimes the batteries overheat. So that's a downside to it. I like it because I can lift it up. It's that light when the batteries aren't in it. Wesley is demonstrating. You can also tip it all the way over because it has no gas in it, so it doesn't matter if you like flip it over on its back. And the other thing to keep in mind if you're thinking to go to battery-powered tools, research like the thing that really matters to you and get that one, and then buy the other things in that line so your batteries can work in multiple things. So like our snowblower, we researched this mower and we wanted this mower, so then we got the snowblower that goes with this one, even if it didn't have like the world's best reviews, but the batteries work back and forth.
And do we want to show them a battery?
Oh, yeah.
Just because we have this same mower, and even old ladies can manage it. I'm not the best. Look, there's the battery. Oh, isn't that cool?
Not that heavy.
Not too bad.
Speaking of batteries, I really like the Power Owl battery charger because it tells me if my batteries are good or not. So it flashes if it's not a good rechargeable. You can recharge any on there. I got this on Amazon, but I like that I can see it. It's an 8-bank, which is nice. It's pretty fast. But again, I can see when they've gone bad, and I should just stop trying to charge those ones. Other rechargeable, this is a lighter that you plug in, and it makes a little thing there, and you can light with it. So then you can just charge it back into your USB. You just plug it in. I will leave this book out for the next couple of weeks. My friend gave this to me for a birthday gift. She got it at like a resale shop, like long time ago, but it has a lot of great recipes. The cleaner I use all the time is in here. Most everything uses an acid like vinegar or lemon juice, borax, washing soda. That's pretty much salt. That's pretty much everything in there. For cleaning mirrors, I really like the Norwex wipes, and they make off-brands now that you can get on Amazon. All you need is water, and it cleans mirrors and windows, and it's the most streak-free I've ever seen. And then they just wash in the wash. And then for those of you who menstruate, I am a big believer in period underwear, which I use the Thinks brand. I've tried one other brand and I didn't like it as much, but I use the Thinks brand, and I'm happy to talk more about that. I also am a big believer in cups because that for me works really well. Happy to talk with anybody that wants more information on my experiences there. Thank you.
And I see Jill is writing frantically to get all this down, which is wonderful because there are a couple things she mentioned I want to find. All right, who would like to go next? Oh, Jill has things.
Of course, I don't have origins for a couple of these things because I did get them through the green team. But the thing I love a lot is this reusable bowl cover. It replaces saran wrap or aluminum foil, and it adjusts to different size bowls. So I don't know where we got them originally, Cindy. Online. So look for. I love it because it's washable and reusable. So I can reuse it. The other thing I got was from. I love these things. The vegetable bags or fruit bags. And rather than using plastic bags at the store, which are really hard to open and you have to recycle them, these come in different sizes. I got them through the green team again, so we probably got them online. Again, they're washable and reusable. And this one is not reusable, but it's Who Gives a Crap toilet paper. It's the bamboo, which I just heard bamboo is not good. It's a renewable product, item, but because of deforestation, it's not as good to use as I thought it was, but it keeps me bum really clean.
All right, who wants to show and tell next? Rebecca.
So I have a bunch of items here, and I went with the beauty end. Oh, no, it should be okay, yeah. I went with the beauty end. Before I had my kids, I started to switch out window cleaner, laundry, all of that kind of stuff, multi-purpose sprays. And then at some point, I realized I could be doing the same with products that I put on my body. So I brought in a variety of items, and Jill, there are a whole bunch of different brands, so I can just email you these things. But just to give you an idea of reducing waste, one of them is, this is a makeup remover cloth. I don't know how it works, it just does. You don't need water or anything, it just removes your makeup. So that saves on water and cleaning wipes or whatever you use. Another thing is called Last Object. It's a reusable round. So if you use this to put on makeup or clean, this is something you can just keep reusing. And it says here, eliminates 250 single-use rounds, and you can compost this. Other items that you might not be thinking of, nail polish. You can get them in a variety of colors, and these are things that are environmentally friendly, and they're free of toxins, and some of them are from mom and pop shops, but you can get them like your base coat, your top coat. I love nail polish, so you can get different colors, and there's different brands. So that was one of the things that I was excited about. You can also get things like toothpaste that are made of Ayurvedic ingredients. They're environmentally friendly, and they're using, like this is neem, clove, honey, tulsi, and this and the cap is all recyclable. Same with face wash. You can get all natural ingredients, all environmentally friendly. A lot of these are locally sourced. Other items, excuse me, this one is called Smarty Pits. It's aluminum-free deodorant, and it comes in cardboard. Some companies have them where you can just get the deodorant stick itself and just replace it. So some come in metal tubes, and then you're just ordering the insert. Facial moisturizer. Soap, of course, we know all these things, but packaging, there are certain companies like this one, Peach, their products all come in paper, or they come in recyclable metal cans, so they're not coming in plastic. They have a commitment about not doing that. Things like eyeliner and, where's my little guy? Mascara, anyway. You can get these that are environmentally friendly, have all natural ingredients in them. Leave-in conditioner. This is made in the USA, cruelty-free. It's certified B Corporation, family-owned, locally owned. Just items that you wouldn't be thinking of, like, oh, I can get, perfume that's essential oils, and it's just a copy of other popular perfumes. And again, it's organic. And let's see, this is something recently I got, was mouthwash tabs. So they're just tiny little tabs. You just chew them up and take a little swig of water, and it just turns into mouthwash. It's great. I think it's refreshing. And then there's, I'm trying to think here, other things like saffron turmeric face wash that again is, recyclable, container, local. And then other things like that you might not be thinking, but if you don't get the cloth, these are cleansing water that again is the same, recyclable bottle, locally owned, all of that stuff. That's a makeup remover, hairspray, and wrinkle release spray too, that you can get it in these packages, as well as like organic cotton swabs. You can also get a Q-tip where it's rubber, And it's also by last object, and you use it and then you just wash it every time, so you don't have to keep buying these things. But if you do prefer to have these, then, these are a good organic company. So, I mean, other things, face masks, you guys are gonna learn all about my beauty routines here, but like neem scrubs, all of this stuff you can get that's environmentally friendly and locally owned, locally sourced, recyclable containers, all of that good stuff. So, the end.
I want to just pause to thank people for being willing to share and for bringing things in like giant lawnmowers and bicycles. And I also want to be sure to mention that the technology of being able to have people stay on Zoom and recording this on YouTube never happens because of me. And there are probably about 6 people that worked on that. So, alrighty, who do we want to hear from next? You want to come up?
My show and tell is not even mine. This is from the fellowship hall, but I have a bucket just like it. It says compost. So I would like to take a few minutes to talk about compost and its importance to me. First, I should say, it was about a year and a half ago it dawned on me when I collect my scraps, that's not really compost, those are compostables. But we could call it compost, just as it says here. My composting journey started about 15 years ago. I was living in New York City. It started with the Union Square Green Market, which is an amazing place. And that's run by the Lower East Side Ecology Center. I went online and found that they were offering a workshop on composting worms. I lived in an apartment. And I thought, what a good idea, at least to learn about worms. Maybe I would want some. And it was a fascinating presentation. It was actually 2 young people from Michigan State University talked about the biology of the worms, how important it is to keep the worms separated from the outdoor environment because they're invasive species. All earthworms are invasive, apparently. The smaller ones come from Europe, then there's jumping worms. A lot to think about with worms and other organisms that break down our compost. Short story to tell, I left with a pound of red wriggler worms. I had a very nice landlord. He said, sure, you can put your worm bin in the basement, that will be fine. The basement was a great place and the worms loved it. It was fascinating I would tear up shreds of newspaper because I read the New York Times in paper in those days. And it was fascinating to see what they particularly liked. Watermelon rind, that was awesome. Bread was not so good. And it made me think about the kinds of food that I was eating because if I ate things that had, say, for the worms like cheese wouldn't work, I'd think, well, maybe I'd rather be eating beans, say, than whatever leftovers there are the worms can eat. So it made me start to think about my diet. It also made me start to think about worms and how they multiply. I ended up with, I never managed to weigh them from 1 pound to, I couldn't separate them from the compost. So they would have little tiny babies. I don't even want to talk about the different methods I tried. I ended up with 125 pounds of worms, I think. And luckily, I knew a farmer out on Long Island, very interesting person, and I said, look, you've got chickens. That's the one thing I could conscience doing to the worms. Like, how can I destroy these helpful creatures? And so if you want to give the worms to your chickens, go ahead. And I hauled the whole thing out there. And he said, I don't know, they might have gone to the chickens, would be all right with me. But he said, oh, that's all right. I'll show them to my kids. I want them to learn about worm composting. That was the end of vermicomposting for me. Part of what and it goes on. My next project was in some ways the most successful. I thought, Union Square Green Market provides many 50-gallon trash containers for on Saturday. It was Saturdays, I don't even remember, when I would go. So trash containers with a person who I think was a volunteer supervising the drop-off of the public composting, available to anybody. I thought I had such respect for that. I think there was one person that I was mainly familiar with and then another person. Composting is a lot of work. And it was some work for me. I learned the best way was to put my bag of scraps in the freezer, and then on Saturday, put it in a backpack, take it on the subway, and take it to the green market. I never got to see it. Maybe I will someday, probably not. But they took a tour, Lower East Side Ecology Center offered a tour to the composting facility, where it all went. You know where it went? Under the Williamsburg Bridge. Oh my goodness, I thought that was so cool. I want to see that facility. And then when I came to Wisconsin, things were different. That was in 2016. What did I do when I was at UW Platteville? They had bins. I thought, okay, give it a chance. But then once I was here, I live in apartments, and I have to figure out something to do. Well, when my mom was alive, she had, happily, a patio. Her apartment had a patio opening. So I contracted with an organization called Earth Stew, paid this hardworking woman, she said she did it all by herself, I think it was $20 a month. Then the pandemic hit, she was hit, it was too hard for her, she couldn't do it, and I forget what I did then. Then I had a garden. That's another thing to think about. If you have a place to grow things, it really doesn't take very much talent, depending on how much food scraps you have. I could do it. I just made a wire cylinder, sort of, and put, you have to put enough browns in with your greens. It all seemed to break down. Getting to personal aspects, with longish hair, I generate a lot of hair, and I read it's compostable. I put it in the compost. I never see it again, so it's great. Fingernail pairings, you don't want to go too far with that. Dog hair, good work. No poop, doesn't go in. So then the garden became too much work. Now I contract with an organization called Curbside Composting. This is I think there is another one, another service out of Sun Prairie. I learned about them, and I don't remember the name, at the garden show this spring. Very exciting to see. They showed their rotating drum. It's huge. So they'll pick up. Now, those of you with, actually, even whether you have a house or whether you have an apartment, a house is easier. My understanding is, in Madison, there's no public drop-off, which in some ways is good. There are questions. Composting, should it be done in a big centralized location? New York City decided no. They discussed it, but it's better to have it decentralized. So some people would do it at green markets, some of the libraries would do it, rather than, say, everybody in New York City can, like they do their recycling, put out a bucket, and the city takes it away. So Madison has had services, but they never seem to work. Thank you for your time. Composting, I hope I've conveyed. If you do it, you probably know this, how it just branches out and branches out. You can learn about worms. You can learn about what makes substances compostable and what's not. With curbside composting, I can put small bits of animal products, meaning I think about, let me try to eat fewer animal products. I am not an advocate for veganism because I can't do it, but we could and should all try, I say reluctantly, to eat less animal products, eat pork instead of beef. I just learned this. Pork is a lot less damaging for the environment. It's going to cost you. I spend $30 a month now for curbside composting. The bucket can't stay at my apartment complex because the guy is kind of cranky, and won't pick it up there. So I take it to my sister. She has a house, and she puts her compost in. That's her side of the deal. I pay for the service. She keeps the bucket, and then they put their scraps in too. But do it. If you do it, tell other people about doing it. And I feel so good to be able to talk about something that's been so important to me for 15 years. Thanks.
All righty, who would like to share next? Susan?
I have the other Who Gives a Crap product. This is recycled paper toilet paper. So, and it's great. Also, Who Gives a Crap takes part of their income from that, and they build latrines throughout the world in places that don't have latrines. So it may cost a little bit more, but you also will find that you use less toilet paper because I'm on this thing where they bring it, it's automatically reordered ever so often. I keep extending the time to wait because I always have left at the end of that time. This is the sheet laundry detergent that I use, and I get that through, I guess it's sold locally now, but I was getting it through Amazon. I want to bring up Green Life Trading Company on Willie Street. It's a great place to go for all kinds of green products. And I use toothpaste tabs. They have them in this jar, and then they have a refillable product that you can then just take and buy by the ounce to refill. So I've been doing that for a couple of years since we found out about that. And then there's another thing I bought there. I put a couple of them in here. Talking about makeup pads and things, they have these. There's a woman who makes them locally, and actually I met her yesterday, and she sells them through the Green Life Trading Company, and they come in a bunch of 20 for like $5. So, and they're reusable little wipes for makeup or whatever you need a little wipe for. So I have those. And then I also have the dryer balls. They dry your things without as much energy. They fluff your clothes as they're being drying. These are wool, and I usually put 3 in. Some people say 4. They don't really do much for static, unfortunately. I read that if you take aluminum and your aluminum foil and scrunch it up and throw it in your dryer, that will help with the static, but it really didn't work for us, so I still use a sheet for static, but we use the dryer balls. So those are and the composting. We don't compost, but there are several, I've heard of several companies in Madison that do curbside pickup. They also do it for apartment buildings. There's a couple of them that do corporate. And I had thought that if we get a group here that wants to maybe do it, we could maybe have a corporate big thing here to bring composting here. So it's a thought. We can think about that. The one that I heard about were like $21 or $24 a month to pick up curbside. So think about that.
I believe that Susan's automatic delivery of her toilet paper has given her so many that she has put some out there by the free things. And who else? Bill and Kelly, you want to come show us what you brought?
Okay, so if you just Google for greenhouse gas emissions, you're going to wind up on the EPA website. They're going to tell you that the biggest the biggest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions in the United States is transportation. So what can we do about that? At a personal level, think about every time you get behind the wheel, Do I need to make this trip? Do I need to make multiple trips? And if so, can I chain them together? And I guess you should also be asking yourself, do I need to take a car to make this trip? So Kelly and I have made a conscious decision to trade as many car trips for bike trips as we can. So we bought ourselves some electric bikes, and we brought them today to show you just how useful they are, how many car trips can we replace, what can we carry with them. So Kelly's is the blue bike, and that is her daily commuter to work. She works at the UW, lives here in Fitchburg, so her trip is either 6 or 7 miles, depending on which route she takes. And she gets about 2 days worth of trips, so there and back, but, call it 30 miles, roughly, out of a battery charge. And her battery is 0.4 kilowatt hours, 400 watt hour battery. So what does that mean in terms of anything you can relate to? Well, a gallon of gas is just under 34 kilowatt hours, which means that she can recharge her battery about 85 times before she has used as much energy as a single gallon of gas. And so 84 times, multiply that by 2, because it's every 2 days or so that she's got to recharge it, right? You're talking about half a year before she consumes the energy equivalent of a single gallon of gas. Okay, that's a big chunk, right? So we bought that bike for her on Memorial Day last year, or Memorial Day weekend, and she has just over 2,000 miles on it. So imagine 2,000 miles in a year from one person. Now, Fitchburg is a city of 30,000 people. Let's say that 1/3 of them drive. So 10,000 people. What if 10,000 people traded in 2,000 car miles every year? Who can do the math for me? 10,000 times 2,000, that's 20 million miles from a city of 30,000 people. And I think I'm being very conservative with that estimate, right? Now my bike is the bigger one. That's a cargo bike. And I have outfitted it with a 48-quart cooler on the back. And so much like Pastor Chris and her husband, whatever his name is, the PS, I think his name is. So they'll be married 40 years this summer. Kelly and I will be married 30 years this summer. And we got that cooler for our wedding. Unfortunately, the manufacturer of my bike doesn't make bags, but fortunately, we know Joe Turner. So she made me a set of bags, and so for the people on Zoom, I think you're seeing it. Yeah, everybody's seeing it. Each of those bags, I think, is in the neighborhood of 50 liters. I can do a full grocery run with that thing, including a 50-pound salt block for my softener. Yeah. Now my battery's a little bigger. The bike is much heavier, especially when it's loaded. So I also get about 30-ish miles before I have to recharge. But that battery is about 50% more capacity. So for me, I need to only recharge it like 55 times before I've consumed as much energy as a gallon of gas. So what did we carry with us today? We've got a whole bunch of stuff. So Kelly, as I've been talking, has been assembling one thing that we brought on our bikes, which is a clothes rack. Drying your clothes in a clothes dryer can be very power hungry. It's because of water. Water just holds a lot of heat, takes a lot of effort to heat it up, and a lot of effort, even way more energy, to make it evaporate. That's what your clothes dryer does. It heats the water up and it evaporates. So what if you didn't have to do that? Well, if you live in a house and you've got something of a yard, you can set yourself up with a clothesline outside. And we do that during the summer months. In the winter months, when our house is very dry, we don't need a humidifier. We hang our clothes on these racks and we turn the ceiling fans on. What do we have next, Kelly? Speaking of if you live in a home, so let's talk a little bit more about energy. So that gallon of gas I told you has about 34 kilowatt hours of energy in it. That's probably a little bit more than the average home consumes in a day. However, your average home is heated with a gas-powered furnace and probably uses 5 to 6 therms of gas in the winter months every day. What's a therm? Well, a therm is almost 30 kilowatt hours. So roughly that same gallon of gas. And so your electricity usage is typically the equivalent of 1 gallon of gas, and in the winter, your heating is about 5 or 6 times that. So what can you do about this? You can turn your thermostat down to absurdly low levels if you feel like it, because you can put layers, you can dress in layers, right? So we heat our home to 61 degrees in the winter during the day. Overnight, we put it down to like 57. What's that, Tony? Tony is even a better person than Kelly and I are. So Kelly is showing you some pants that she wears. She refers to these as the warmest pants in the world. These are Eddie Bauer pants. They're fleece lined, right? So she wears those in the winter months in our home. And for my bike ride. And for her bike ride, yes. And she's got a lovely little fuzzy top she wears to keep warm. Why don't you pull that?
I'm much more cold-blooded than Bill is, so he's perfectly fine in clothes like that, and I have to dress like this in my house. With slippers and often a little mittens.
But think about your average house, right? So it's going to be at least 1,500 square feet, and it's going to have 7-foot ceilings or whatever. All those cubic feet you're heating just so that your small little bubble is always warm enough, right? Well, I mean, wearing clothes is the ultimate space heater. One other thing that we have discovered, Kelly found these, Costco. I don't know what it's made of, but this is the only blanket you need on your bed. Like, you put a sheet on and this thing, you're good for the winter. And we also, if we're just sitting around in the evening or something, we turn a TV show on, we'll just put one of these over ourselves. I feel a little bit like Jimmy Carter talking about wearing a cardigan. Food time, sure. So one of my pet peeves is single-use glass. I mean, really? You're gonna go through all the trouble? You're gonna put like $1 worth of food into a glass jar, and then expect us to just throw it away? What I don't know why that makes sense, but that's the world we live in. So, what can you do? Well, you can save. And if you go online and you say, what can I do with all my old glass jars? The answer is you can save them and repurpose them, use them for something. But come on, you're going to accumulate thousands of jars over your lifetime. You don't have need for nearly that many. But we'll just illustrate one use that we've every once in a while, you'll find a jar that does take a standard canning lid. And so she's holding a jar of homemade jam. Which one is that? Mulberry. Mulberry. So those are mulberries that we foraged. And then we turned them into jam, and we used whatever that happened to be, an old jar of vegan mayonnaise. Interesting. Yeah. Next item up for bid. Oh. So if you use paper towels, you don't have to. You could use, reusable washcloths. These can be napkins, these can be paper towels, whatever. And we opened a pack a year and a half ago or something, and this is our backup pack for whenever we need more.
It's like $15 for 52 of them, and they wash up. They're a little minty, so it's kind of nicer to sort of just wash a load of them mostly together. So, but they really are great as an all-purpose paper towel, washcloth, napkin. Very good. I've taken a bunch to work, and we now use those to wash all the tables for our food.
Oh, yeah.
So I've now taken some of these to work for all of my colleagues now use these for washing all the tables rather than having something we throw away after doing washing. Where did those come from? Costco. One last bike-related thing.
Oh, don't say one last.
Okay, another bike-related thing. These are a way for me to be able to handle winter biking. They just go on the handlebars, so it really cuts down on the wind. Yep.
So they're a mitten kind of, right?
Yeah, they stay on.
Oh, yeah. So they are permanently-ish affixed all winter to the handlebars, and then I can wear my multiple layers of gloves/mittens underneath, because like I said, I'm pretty cold-blooded, but these make it manageable. And then
Those are windproof, which is
Yeah.
the huge thing in winter.
Yeah.
And they're also water repellent, at least, if they're not
Yeah.
waterproof.
Yep. And I have something similar that I put over my boots so that I don't get cold feet when I'm biking in the winter.
Are we done? Have we exhausted our supply of stuff?
I think you did do Joe's bag. Yeah, we're mostly done.
All right.
Thank you. Wow. Do we have another person who would like to share? Or do we have questions? Yes, ma'am. Oh, you need a mic. Yes, because we're all rock stars here.
For Kelly and Bill, what do you do about rain when biking?
Yes, and it's been doing that a bit lately. Oh, here we go. Bill will do a model here. Come on.
Well, sure. So what? Yeah.
Okay.
Certainly one thing you can do is wear a raincoat. Yeah. And mine, so I got, every year or so, my workplace says, hey, go to this branded image website and pick out an item of clothing that's branded for, with our company logo on it. That's on here somewhere. And I saw this raincoat and I thought, yeah, that's perfect. I do a lot of biking and I like to bike in the rain too. So I got it, and when I first tried it, I thought, man, what's going on with this hood? It's enormous. It actually fits over my bike helmet.
And then look at the back.
And, yes. In the back, this thing can roll up, but it protects me from protects me from
splashing.
From splashing, yeah. I mean, I have fenders on my bike, so it's not nearly a big a problem. But there you go. And I can roll that up, and it's got snaps, and so it can, you know, fold up until it's just a regular coat.
And I wear this if it's rainy, but even cooler, since I have to park my bike outside all day at the university, when I arrive and lock up my bike, I dress my bike in this to keep the battery area covered. So my bike and the bike rack are encased in this, so that when I get back to it to ride home, it's not soaked.
We also have rain-proof pants we can put on like right over the top of our regular pants, and there are, you know, similarly you can get stuff to put over your shoes to keep them dry.
I have some. I usually forget them, that's the problem.
The one thing that is difficult to deal with is something like lightning. So, especially if you've already biked somewhere and then the storm comes through, or if you are halfway through your trip and the storm arrives. I don't think I've heard anybody give a real good answer to that, but luckily that almost never happens. So if it does, you know, you can always pull aside somewhere and wait it out. It's not ideal, but you know, there's not a whole lot of choice.
Very good. Well, I want to thank all of you for being here. It's a joy to hear what people are doing, and now the whole presentation can be seen again, and Jill has written things down, and maybe she or I will get that typed up sometime. And just thank you so much for taking time out of your weekend to be here. We hope some of what you've heard has been helpful and kind of inspirational. And visit our table out there and help us clean our closet. Thank you all so much for coming.
Hey, one more thing. If you're interested in bikes, June 8th at McKee Farms Park here in Fitchburg, 6 o'clock in the evening, I think. You can find this on the Fitchburg website. There's an event called Is an E-Bike Right for Me? And Wheel and Sprocket will be there with a variety of e-bikes there. We might have some B-Cycle bikes. B-Cycle is now in Fitchburg. Kelly and I will be there with ours. And it's entirely possible that other people will bring big cargo bikes and stuff. And so it'll be another show and tell, and probably an opportunity for you to take a test ride if you want.